everyone! Last week I wasn't able to post a new video, but today I wanted to share with you my June TBR. It's not yet June, but I always like picking my TBR early, even though I often don't even really keep to my TBR. And this month I haven't read that many books yet, so for next month I wrote down 7 prompts to tackle my ever-growing TBR. So the first prompt is to read the next book in a series that I already started, and for this I chose Umberland by Wendy Spinelli, which is the second book in the Avalanche trilogy. This series is set in London after it has been destroyed by bombs and disease, and the only ones that have survived are the children. And they have to be constantly running for the German army, who is trying to catch them. And the first book was a Peter Pan retelling, which was really cool, but the second one seems to be an Alice in Wonderland retelling, which sounds like a really cool switch, and I'm really curious where the story is going. And I know that the final book in the series is a retelling of The Wizard of Oz, so I'm looking forward to reading the next book, and it's also quite short. It's not even 300 pages. My second prompt is to read a big book, which is in my opinion 500 pages or more, and for this I chose The Queens of Innis Lear by Tessa Gradden. And this is a King Lear retelling, which is Shakespeare's last play that I have read until now. And since the story is still fresh in my mind, I ordered the retelling, but it hasn't been delivered yet, but I believe that it will be here in a couple of days. Next is a classic, and for this I chose Much Ado About Nothing. I really like these No Fear Shakespeare editions because it makes it so much easier to read, and I always enjoy his comedies most, so after having read King Lear, which is a tragedy, I thought it was time for a comedy again. Next prompt is to read a Dutch book. Because I have many Dutch books, but they're often also quite chunky, so I keep postponing reading them and I always pick up my English books instead. So for this I chose Het Lelietheater by Lulu Wang, which is a book about her own youth in China during the Cultural Revolution and about growing up in a re-education camp, which sounds like a very heavy story and really interesting as well. Also because she moved to the Netherlands and she wrote this book in Dutch. So I'm really curious to see what her writing style is and what kind of language she uses in this book, but also of course what her story is, and it sounds like a really interesting and intriguing story as well. Next, I want to read more poetry, so my 5th prompt is to read a poetry collection. And for this I chose The Sun and Her Flowers by Ruby Kaur, which I've heard so many great things about, so I'm really curious about her poems and I hope that I will like them as well. Okay, so I have 2 prompts left, of which the first is to read a contemporary and the second to read some of my manga. So for the contemporary, I decided to go with Wanted by Sarah Shepard, which is the 8th book in the Pretty Little Liars series. And these books are just such quick reads for me, and I enjoy listening to the audiobooks as well while doing other stuff, so this would just give a little boost to my Goodreads goal. Then for the manga, I chose the final 3 books of the Full Moon series by Arina Tanemura. And I honestly don't understand why I haven't read these already, because I love the anime series and I love the previous books, so I don't know what's wrong with me, but it's time to finally read them. Then I have 6 more books that I would like to get to next month, and I already know that I won't be able to read everything, but I'll just see how far I get. For one book I know for sure that I will read it next month, and that is Looking Glass by Christina Henry, because I have waited for this book for so long and I love the first 2 books in this trilogy. It's a dark retelling of Alice's adventures in Wonderland, and the first book in the series has become one of my favorite books ever, so I am dying to read this. Next is The Gracekeepers by Kirsty Logan, which is, I believe, a magical realism. And the only thing I know about this is that it's about a flooded world, a floating circus, and two women in search of a home, which already sounds so pretty and magical, and I just love this cover as well. Next is Wabi Sabi by Beth Kempton. Wabi Sabi is a Japanese term that is all about seeing the beauty in imperfection, and since I am studying Japanese, I would love to learn more about this. I also have one Japanese manga on my June TBR, and that is a volume of Pokémon, and I think the Japanese in this book doesn't seem very difficult, so I think this is doable. Finally, I have two Barnes & Noble Classic editions, which I once started but never really finished, and that is The Little Mermaid and Other Fairy Tales and Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales. And I know I won't be able to finish both of these in June, but I just want to make some progress in them, and I'll just see how far I'll get. Okay, so those were all the books that are on my June TBR. And please let me know down below in the comments what books are on your TBR, and who knows, maybe we have some books in common. You can find all my social media and all that jazz down below as well. And I try to post one video every weekend, so if you want to be notified whenever I post, please subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for watching, and I wish you a wonderful day with a lot of sunshine and books. Mata ne!